Hey, it's Mac. I'm here today to demystify TIPMs. By the end of this video, you're going to know what isn't a TIPM. I'll even teach you a bunch about the history. So let's get started. Let's begin with the IPM, which is actually the predecessor to the TIPM. What is an IPM? An IPM simply stands for, it's an acronym for Integrated Power Module. But where's the T? Well, let me explain. In the early days, in the early 2000s, what Chrysler did is they made an IPM, which is what you might think of as a fuse box, fuse block, junction box. It's just a simple box with a circuit board inside that just helps the power pass through it. Then they added a front control module. By adding the front control module to an IPM, this in essence makes it a totally integrated power module. It's not really a totally integrated power module because it's not all in one unit, but it's what allows the box together, or it allows the parts together to act as a TIPM would act. Here I've got on display just a few examples, but there are some more that I'm not showing at this moment. But these are some of the early 2000s IPMs that you'll see. And again, they're all integrated power modules. They all started in the early 2000s, and some of them go as late as 2010. This is one of those common ones that you'll see in a lot of Jeeps. This is an IPM, and again, together, you've got the front control module. Together with the front control module, it will act as a TIPM. Here's another one that we see on caravans and some other vehicles from the early 2000s. And again, the IPM, you have your front control module. Together, they make the TIPM. Now that you know what an IPM is, what is a TIPM? Well, I told you before, it's a totally integrated power module. In 2006, Chrysler contracted Delphi, I believe this is what I've been told, to make the first TIPM. And what they did is they designed the very first, what they call the TIPM 6. Now, the TIPM 6 has two styles. This is one of them, and this is the other. So what applications do they fit, and what do they do, and what makes them a TIPM? When you first open a TIPM, you'll see it looks very similar to an IPM. You'll see all your fuses up top, and even on some TIPMs, you'll see relays as well, which I'll show you in a minute. But this is the first 2006. These are the first TIPMs they made. You look inside, you see those fuses. Those are connected to the power board up top, which is what controls where all the power is distributed and how the current flows. However, what's unique about a TIPM versus an IPM is in the same module, you have down here below, you have what we call the logic board. Attached to the logic board, you have a microcontroller that controls all the signals and commands through that TIPM, in essence, making it a one-stop shop where everything is controlled. Now that we showed you the beginning of the TIPMs, we showed you those 2006 TIPMs when Chrysler first made them. Is that all of them? Does that mean they've changed it right after that? And the answer is no. In 2007 is when they came out with the most popular or most common TIPM, and it's in a way could be considered infamous TIPM. This is the one most notorious for the mechanical relay that fails. Once again with these, you can see you have the fuses inside which are connected to the power board. What's different in these 2007 and what's changed is they added mechanical relays externally, like you could see here. Okay, so let me run through the evolution a bit before we get completely lost. Where did it start? Early 2000s, we had our IPMs with our front control modules. Simple power boards with, like a logic board, connected, attached to the side. In 2006, we moved to TIPMs. Those are actual TIPMs, they're totally integrated power modules. And then they started changing, they started evolving. So for example, the first one they made, the TIPM 6, this is in vehicles, you'll find them in vehicles from 2006 all the way through 2017. However, this TIPM 6 that was made specifically for Dodge Rams, you'll only find in 2006 through 2009 vehicles and Ram specific. Then you've got this most common TIPM 7 that is the most notorious, the one most known by everyone. This you'll find in vehicles from 2007 through as late as 2020. But then this last one you'll find is just for years 2009, 2010, and Ram only. So why do you hear me mention Ram specifically multiple times? It's because it is an important bit of information. Ram only used the TIPMs for a short period of time. That was from 2006 through 2008. They used these, some through 2009, and then they went with this style in 2009 and 2010. Now, why did they change so quickly? That's because Ram was rebranded and ran as its own division, where they decided to pivot away from TIPMs and move to what we now see in newer vehicles, to the PDC or Power Distribution Center. People still confuse this with a TIPM, and we still use that terminology sometimes just to help people find what they're looking for, but the reality is this is a power distribution center. Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, CDJR, they switched back to a simple power board and a separate BCM. Now, unlike its predecessors, unlike the IPMs in the past, the newer PDC uses a BCM that is independent, it's separate of it, connected in the wire harness elsewhere. But working together, they act and function as a TIPM would. Let me quickly show you what it looks like in a PDC. Once again, you could see like a regular power board, IPM, TIPM, and other modules, it has fuses and external relays up top. When did they start using PDCs? Well, the first to start using PDCs, or power distribution centers, was Ram. In 2013, they moved over to using the PDCs and a BCM. Later, they started using it on Wrangler and other brands. I'm going to show you a few more modules. Just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on that bell icon so you're notified when we drop more videos. Here's another example of a PDC and BCM that you'll see in later models. You'll see this in your Wrangler, maybe Dodge Journey, and other vehicles, as well as a BCM that connects to it through a wire harness. And together, they're able to function as a TIPM would. Lastly, here's another BCM that you'll commonly see in later models. There's still more, but this is a good introduction into all the different TIPMs. I hope this video has been incredibly helpful in clarifying what is and isn't a TIPM and teaching you a bit more about the history of it. If you got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our customer service, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and comment as much as you'd like. We're here to help. And as always, thanks for choosing Max.